Hi, this is Lee Merrick. I am going to do a brief tutorial on using a TI-83 or 84. I'm using a TI-84 emulator, and you are welcome to use this and share this. I would ask that if you're going to share it further than just your immediate family or whatever, that you make a point of acknowledging that this was created by me. Otherwise, you're welcome to use it and share it freely. All right, so this tutorial is going to start off with very, very fundamental stuff, and it's going to involve just some really basic information that involves turning things on or off, or experimenting with them a little bit. I will also say that this is intended for algebra / college algebra level work, as opposed to statistics or calculus or anything advanced like that. All right. So how do you turn this thing on and off? Well, if you take a look down here on the very, very bottom edge of the left side, the very bottom button is an on button. Well, okay, so we've got it on now. What if I wanted to turn it off? Well, it will eventually time out, but rather than letting it sit there and waste your battery, what you're going to want to do is you want to go to second, which is right below the Y equals button, right below what would normally be your screen. All right, so kind of the top row that doesn't have to do with the graphing. It's going to go second, and then the on button. If you take a look right above there, there's a blue off. And some people will have it in yellow, some people will have it in blue. I think I've seen one that's in green, but you need to be aware of what buttons you're pushing and what they're going to do for you. So when you need something that's in the blue on this particular machine or on this particular emulator, you're going to press the second button first, and then you're going to press whatever it is you need. Okay. A couple of things from here. I've got it back on, as you can see. There's a place to clear your history, which is right here. You can move around when you're in a graph. You can use these to move around. You can darken your screen and light your screen. For the moment, I'm going to leave that alone. That's more technical type stuff as opposed to actually using the machine, using the calculator. So most of the entry is just like you would expect. All right, so if I have 15 times 3 plus 42, and then I'm going to hit the enter. Whoops. Here we go. I had a second button pressed here at one point. Go ahead and this is actually useful because this is how I'm going to show you how to go ahead and delete. You can go to the delete button, which is the third one over. It's on that same row as the second button. And you could either just overwrite where you're at, or you can press the delete button, and that will cause it to delete. If you want to insert, right, now I've deleted my 15, I want to add that back in. I'm going to hit second, and then the delete button has an INS button. And now that's an insert. So I can insert my 15 back into this process. All right, I can arrow over using my arrows. So now I'm at the end. I can go ahead and enter. The enter will help me out. It will give me the equivalent of hitting an equals button. Okay, and that's saying that my answer right now is 87. If you have an exponent, right, and once you're in algebra, you should probably be expecting to see some exponents. Usually the quadratic shows up at that point. We're going to have a value, right? We're going to say, let's say 5 raised to the second power. So you're going to go 5, and then this little pointy up arrow thing. It's right above your division button. Second one down below the arrows. and it's on the far right side, right? That little pointy up arrow, that's telling you you're raising that to an exponent. And I'm going to square this one and hit enter, and that's going to give me 25, which we would expect. Now, as you know, algebra is usually where we start throwing alphabet into our math. And so that can be a little confusing at times. How would we go about doing that on the calculator? Well, if I have a line, say, that I want to draw, I'm going to go ahead to my y equals, and this is going to put it on my screen as a graph as opposed to just calculating. Okay, so here I can say y equals, and you can see that there are a number of different ones. On mine, because I have an emulator, because it's color, you can change the color of the dots, you can change the color of the lines, you can determine how you want those to look. You can select by hitting enter, you can change the color, and you can also change what kind of line you have. All right, now I'm going to just scroll through these to show. You can have the shading up or down. You can have this dash with a 0 on it, so it's, and then you can have like a little bubble. You can have dots. You can have even smaller dots, and then you can go back to your regular line. Okay, so this gives you a lot of options as to being able to keep track of what's happening. So you can have them all be in different colors when you're graphing. You can have them be in different styles and different colors, whatever helps you see what's going on. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead, and you can see I have an x cubed and an 8x, right? So I've got this already, I've got a function already in there. Now I want to point out that this is highlighted. My equals here is highlighted, so it's a solid square with the white equal sign in the middle. If you look down below, they're all white around it, and then the black equal sign. What the black box there with the white equal sign is telling you is that this particular function is active and available on your screen. Okay, so you can go ahead and graph this, and it will show up on your screen. Now, there's a couple of things that happen. I'm going to go ahead and graph this one. I know for a fact that once this goes to 0, my y will go to 0. So I know that if I'm centered at 0, 0, I'm going to at least be able to see a little bit of this. That's not always true, and you are going to have to stop and think about what's happening on the graph, which is sometimes a little challenging, especially if you're not very good at that kind of visualization at first. But you'll be able to learn it. It's a skill that you learn. It's not something that you should just automatically know. You're going to go ahead, and in this case, I have my window. I'm going to check my window size. It's saying I'm going from -5 to +5 on my x values, and from -10 to +10 on my y values. And when it says x scale and y scale, that's asking how many spaces do you want in between the tick marks. So in this case, 1 is just fine. Okay, if you had, if you were going up by thousands or something, you wouldn't want it to be 1. You want it to be, thousands perhaps, or hundreds. So that's a little tiny picture of what's going on our window. I can go ahead and say graph now, and you can see that I have this graph, right? All right, so with this graph, I am able to go ahead and trace what's going on that graph. All right, and if you take a look, it tells me which function I'm using, and it tells me where my calculator, where I am actually on in my graph. So if I were to move to the left, you can see my values are changing I'm still on that y1. I'm still using that function, but I'm tracing along it, right? So right about here, I'm really close to being at a -1 for my x. The other thing you can do is, in this case, when and you can only do it for the x, you can go ahead and press the number. Let's say you wanted to go to -1. So you're going to go negative, and you need to use this negative, not the subtraction. So -1, and hit enter, and it will now move you over to that -1, and it will give you your output, your y value for that. All right, so I'm going to pause at this point. I'm going to put this one up, and I will pick up from here on another video.